Hello and welcome everybody to Game 2 of Leenock versus MMA from MLG Providence. Now I didn't actually in Game 1 mention what part of MLG Providence this was from. This was actually part of the losers bracket, so both of these players had lost. Two players in the winners bracket got knocked down to the losers bracket, and so I believe the loser of this best of 3 actually does get knocked out of the tournament completely, as it is a double elimination format. Spawning here in the top right position of Xel'Naga Caverns as the red Terran. Playing from Team Slayers we have MMA. Spawning here in the bottom left position, our winner for Game 1. Spawning as the blue Zerg we have Leenock. Leenock is of course playing for Team FX Open Esports. And like I said, he was the winner of Game 1. If you didn't catch Game 1, Leenock was just played pretty much standard Zerg versus Terran. Pretty much went for that Ling Muta Baneling mixture and was able to keep MMA pretty much pinned on 3 bases for quite a while he pretty much expanded all over Shakura's plateau, took over the entire map, and was just out macroing the heck out of MMA. So here in Game 2, gonna have to see if MMA can't come back from that win or whether Leenock will be taking this entire game 2-0. Ooh, Leenock almost manages to pick off that SCV, doesn't quite get it, needed one more hit off on that SCV, doesn't quite get it. Now going to be trying to go in for that kill, but his drone is getting very, very low. Now, loser, of course, picks the map selection for Game 2. So, this is a very interesting map selection here by MMA. I think a very smart map selection by MMA because Xel'Naga Caverns tends to be just slightly Terran favored. Just slightly. I don't want to say that it's got too much favor for Terran either way, because I think that Xel'Naga Caverns does actually, I do think it's a pretty balanced map. And interesting build here by Leenock. We're actually seeing a hatch first followed by gas, so it looks like he's going to be using that to get a fairly quick Zergling speed up since he's getting that gas up before pool. And what was I saying before? Yes, Xel'Naga Caverns. Xel'Naga Caverns generally seem to be a little bit more Terran favored for several reasons. The first of which being that there is a very, very centrally located gold expansion that if a Terran player can get a planetary fortress here with lots of siege tanks surrounding, it can be extremely difficult to break, and it almost defends your own natural and main expansion just by having that kind of central location very well defended. So Terran players, which are very, very good, generally very good at sticking in one position, and oh my gosh, looks like that drone is getting very, very low there for Leenock, and it looks like he might actually lose it. Oh, another hit. It's down to 1 hit point, and there we go. He does manage to take out 1 SCV with it, though, so nice little pick off there by Leenock. The other reason that this map is slightly Terran favored is because there are lots and lots of corridors, narrow corridors to fight in. Zergs do not like fighting in narrow corridors because it means that they have a lot of trouble getting good surrounds on units. So Zergs have a lot of trouble finding good engagements here. Now, if you guys haven't already seen this, there is one Reaper that is now out across the map. Going to be picking off a couple of Zerglings here. Going to start to focus down this hatchery. One Queen is just about to pop out of this hatchery. Oh man, that Reaper's going to have to be very, very careful. When he engages on creep, he cannot kite Zerglings nearly as effectively as when he's off creep. Off creep Zerglings without speed are very, very slow. Not that good at taking out those Reapers. Those Reapers move just a tad bit faster. Zergling speed is now on the way, however. Leenock has pulled all guys off of gas except one, so he's still mining on one gas geyser there with 1 drone, and in the meantime he's just going to be droning up pretty heavily. Now, in the base of MMA, we did see a factory be swapped onto that tech lab. We do now have siege tech here being researched by MMA, not yet producing any siege tanks, but the fact that he's getting this siege tech early, to me, means that we're probably going to be seeing some aggression here, just because if you get siege tech early, unless you're really worried about having to defend with siege tanks, you want to be applying pressure. You don't want to be having to spend all these resources in getting siege tech up if you're not going to be using it right away. We do see that 1 siege tank is now on the way. More barracks now being thrown down here for MMA. So could this be some kind of a 3 racks siege tank push? We will see. Leenock, in the meantime, trying to get a little bit of map control. His Zergling speed has now kicked in, but this one Reaper continuing to control the Xel'Naga watchtower is going to know if Leenock decides to move out but it looks like Leenock's not thinking about doing anything of the sort quite yet. Looks like a Roach Warren is now being thrown down here for Leenock, as well as a Spine Crawler up at the front while he continues to drone up. Baneling Nest also on the way for Leenock. In the base of MMA, 2 expansion command centers have gone down at this point. Looks like MMA is going to be taking a fast natural and even possibly taking a fast third base there. Might be going for a quick planetary fortress at that gold expansion. That would actually be very, very interesting, just because I don't know that MMA would have the forces necessary to be able to defend all 3 locations at once. This barracks does now have a tech lab added on. No upgrades yet going down for those Marines, but we do see a lot of roaches on the production tab right now for Leenock. We do see about 8 roaches on the way. Looks like he is going to be starting to get a little bit aggressive here, I think. I think that might be the reason for these roaches, is that he might actually be going for a little bit of early aggression. There we go. We do now see 12 Zerglings now being produced on the production tab. No layer tech quite up yet here. Leenock continuing to get those good injects in, and still just mining off of 2 gas geysers. Looks like 2 gas geysers at this point. 1 in the main, 1 in the natural, and ooh, we do now have Banelings morphing in at the gold expansion here, and MMA is taking his natural expansion with this siege tank here. This is beautiful siege tank positioning here by MMA with this wall. Those Zerglings are going to have to deal so much damage. If that siege tank was right up against those supply depots, Zerglings that were very close might not all be able, the siege tank might not be able to hit them, but by moving it back here into this further back position, it's going to be a lot harder. And ooh, nice siege tank hit there by MMA, able to take out all those Banelings. Those Banelings did want to go in, completely tear down that supply depot wall, but that siege tank got off 1 good hit, took out lots and lots of Banelings there with 1 hit. Beautiful little hit there by MMA. Looks like that's going to completely shut down all the aggression from Leenock. Leenock now going to be pulling back, taking down the destructible rocks to his gold expansion, and we do see a hatchery going down as well, taking this forward hatchery. It's a very interesting move here by Leenock. This is not usually a hatchery that we see taken this early on by Zerg players. Definitely Zerg players much more common to take this far away expansion down in that lower right position. This gold expansion sometimes taken as a third, but much less common here, just because having that a base here that's so close to your opponent's natural and so close to your opponent's main, just everything. It's such a central base, very, very hard for Zerg players to defend. Now we do have a macro hatch going down here for Leenock. Baneling Nest is up. Still no lair tech up for Leenock. It looks like his lair is about halfway done. Evolution Chamber is out, though no upgrades yet being researched here for Leenock, and I actually don't like that so much. I really would like to see some early upgrades going down for Leenock. If he's going to be getting up that early Evolution Chamber, you want to be getting those early upgrades, or you want to be using it for something. You don't want inactive tech structures at any point in time if you can help it. Now it looks like Leenock is going to be trying to go for a little bit of a counterattack here, but there are a couple of supply depots there preventing all motion through that backdoor corridor that is used oh so commonly by Zerg players to go for those nice little counterattacks there into the natural expansion. But man, the siege tank spread from MMA is actually pretty good right now, and I think Leenock would have a lot of trouble breaking into this natural. In the base of MMA, more and more barracks being thrown down right now. Again, notice he's throwing down barracks, not adding any add-ons at all right now. Just going strictly for barracks, and then as his income gets a little bit stronger, then he'll start to add on. There we go, those reactors now coming down here for MMA, as he is now well saturated here on his natural expansion. Another command center actually going down, so this one orbital command that we have in the base has just been used thus far as a macro orbital, pretty much just used to produce SCVs. If we check out the harvester count right now, we can see that both players are pretty even right now, and MMA is actually ahead 67 harvesters to 62 harvesters. Double engineering bay now also out here for MMA. +1 attack and +1 armor has been researched for those bio forces. And wow, this base for Leenock already getting very, very well saturated. We do see quite a few upgrades now coming down here for Leenock. Once again, getting that +1 ground carapace. Beautiful, absolutely necessary upgrade that you want to get in this matchup. You want that upgrade as early as possible, because as you can see, all those Zerglings just died from one shot. That macro hatchery still up. One queen is now up. We do have Burrow on the way right now, as well as Roach Speed right now. So it looks like Roach Ling is going to be the name of the game here. Aspire just now coming up as well here for Leenock, so we might see a little bit of Muta play as well. Baneling Speed just now completing, so lots and lots of tech coming up right now for Leenock, so he's not trying to be too aggressive quite yet, getting lots and lots of early game tech, wants his units to be strong, so when he finally does have to produce his units, they will already be well upgraded. Just needs to be very safe. Looks like one drop did attempt to go down in this back, but it was completely denied by a pack of roaches that Leenock had stationed here at the back of the base. Mutalisks now popping out onto the field here for Leenock. Looks like, oh man, looks like MMA is starting to get a little bit aggressive here. He's going to be scanning ahead a little bit. Smart play there by MMA, but notice where he's setting up his siege tanks, setting them up for optimal fighting in this corridor so that he can force all of his units of the Zerg to fight in this one narrow corridor, and all of these siege tanks are going to be able to deal a lot of damage. But it looks like the Mutalisk has now been spotted by MMA, and he's now going to have to pull back his Marines to be able to defend against that. Lots of Roaches and Banelings now moving in from the southern position, not quite by choice, I don't think, by Leenock. Looks like those might have just started attacking on their own, but the siege tank count here for MMA is very, very high. Just now establishing this gold expansion as a drop does go down at this third base. Looks like that is going to be cleaned up there by Leenock, but now this base is known, and it looks like Leenock now going to be poking in, trying to pick off some siege tanks. Looks like a couple of these siege tanks are kind of out in the open, but the Marines do manage to pull back in time. More siege tanks going up. I love this siege tank positioning here by MMA. It's going to prevent reinforcements from this side. It's also going to be able to deal damage from here, but oh no, looks like they are a little bit far forward, and not enough Marines here are out to support these tanks, and MMA actually needs to get a lot more of these Marines up into forward positions right now, because a lot of these siege tanks are very, very exposed. Planetary Fortress just now finishing up, as Leenock is now going to be taking his gold expansion and the lower right expansion. There is one drop ready to go down at any point for MMA. In the meantime, he's continuing to produce lots and lots of Mutalisks, lots and lots of upgrades, lots of Lings being produced as well for Leenock in the base of MMA right now. A second factory is now down, producing Thors. That is exactly the tech you want to go for against these Mutalisks. This pack of Mutalisks will go down, especially when they're clumped up like that. Thor shots do have splash damage, will deal damage to every single one of those Mutalisks if they are all stacked up. Now, the barracks count here for MMA is getting very, very high. We do currently have 5 barracks, 4 of them with reactors, and actually there's a little bit... Oh no, there we go. I thought he might have been queuing quite a bit. There actually is some queuing going on by MMA. That's something you don't want to have to do very much. If you queue too much, then that's essentially resources that are tied up that you are not using and that aren't being used for anything right away, and so they could actually be used for other things. Oh no, looks like these Mutalisks need to be pulled back right away. This is a big pack of Marines out here. If those Mutalisks go down, that could be a big major loss for Leenock. MMA looking so strong right now. 180 supply. His food count is just climbing so fast, so much faster. And Leenock, wow, actually Leenock just now jumping into full production mode, as we do have 5 Mutalisks on the production tab, 30 Zerglings also on the way, and Leenock is deciding to engage into this, but the Marine count is so high and Leenock losing so much. Did you see how much that food count dropped? It dropped from 180 to 130 so fast. Looks like a small pack of Marines is going to be moving into this third base, going to be picking that off. And now Leenock forced to pull all of his drones off the line there. This pack of Mutalisks trying to become active again, but it's so hard to break this right now. It looks like we do have missile turrets going down. We do have a sensor tower going down as well. There are Thors in forward positions. So many Marines. +3 infantry armor and +3 infantry weapons have been started. These Marines are going to be so strong against Mutalisks. It's going to be very, very hard for Leenock to be able to deal with this. And oh no, Leenock not controlling his Mutalisks the best, loses a lot of Mutalisks. Mutas a little bit carelessly there, and oh, the GG from Leenock. Wow, I don't know that I'm completely convinced that that was already a loss there for Leenock, but I guess he was just felt that he lost a few too many Mutalisks there, and he really just didn't have the reinforcements to be able to deal with it there. And his main was getting close to being mined out. His natural was also getting pretty close to being mined out there, and he just didn't really have all that much mining going on there at the end. And of course, MMA was maxed, so Leenock decided to just throw in the GG and try to win in Game 3. So that's exactly where we are going to be going, ladies and gentlemen, right now, because it is, of course, tied 1-1, Leenock versus MMA. So stick with me for the conclusion of Leenock versus MMA from MLG Providence 2011.